Welcome back to my channel. The last videos I was talking about breakups. This time I'm going to show from the other side, the things that maybe I can take accountability for and the biggest lessons I learned, namely the big one, getting to the core issues and the big shame-based, I'm not wanted, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable type of stuff. So that is where I'm going to conclude. If you want to stick around and see how I ramble to get there, that is totally cool. I've had two big breakups in my life that were transformative. It's funny how breakups do that. And I think if you wield the energy correctly, there are massive lessons to be learned and evolutions to be had. And for whatever reason, this last breakup lit up every single childhood trauma, every single core wound I had. And to be honest, I spent the last year learning and doing the work and doing exercises and taking classes, heal from this and to help me learn. And it just has been like an onion. Like, I think I've mastered one lesson and a new lesson pops up. The main works that I've been focusing on, just so that I kind of give people credit, is Matthew Hussey, Kyle Cease, Romani, a little bit of Mel Robbins, I'll throw that in there, Lewis Howes, Aaron Doughty. I have just had this like voracious appetite to learn and to grow and to heal from this. And it's taken on a life of its own, to be quite honest. I mean, when I started this journey, my number one priority was to get over my heartbreak. Then I wanted to learn some competencies in relationships. But what I found happened was it veered into the realm of trauma and beliefs and patterns. And I didn't totally see that coming, because really ultimately I wanted to heal, get over somebody, and then learn what are my standards and have the focus on bringing in a new relationship that was healthier. But what I ended up finding in the end is that I don't have a very strong relationship with myself, and that is the cause of relationships not working out, romantic relationships, and it also really impacts how I show up in a relationship, and it impacts who I attract. So if I'm gonna go way back, I grew up Catholic. This is a topic that's always very complex to talk about, because other people might not have this experience with religion. They might have been taught something different. They might have internalized something different. I'm really not here to be super anti-religious, yet at the same time I am very sad at the church hurt, the trauma that religion can cause. And for me, the way that I understood, the way that I internalized growing up Catholic was that I have to be something other than what I am for God to truly approve of me, and so that I don't go to hell. I wish I had the peace of people who never were introduced the idea of hell. I don't actually believe in it, but at the same time, it is still humming in the background as like a threat somehow. It's just so in my bones that I'm not good enough and I'm gonna somehow end up in hell. And I mean, the reason for that is because I always felt like it was impossible standards, and I couldn't understand even why God cared so much. And by impossible standards, I mean, if you miss Mass on Sunday and you don't go to confession, that's hell. You know, eating meat on Fridays was a sin. Like, it just, I felt like there was a lot of things that were not a big deal that were considered sins. effect it had on me was, okay, that's the truth. God wants these certain things. I didn't question them. I just was like, as a little kid, you know, and I didn't question it. I wanted to be good. I remember being maybe 7 years old and praying over and over every single night, God, please make me good. Because what I realized was that I wanted so badly for the pressure to be off of hell. I wanted to feel good enough. I felt that and I wanted God to love me. I wanted to feel safe. I used to have nightmares about the devil, and like for years and years and years, just these nightmares about evil. And I would go to bed and I would pray that for God to make me good, because I didn't feel good. And I'm a little kid, like who cares, you know? But it carried a weight on me. And other people might not internalize religion that way, but for me, I was kind of actually scared all the time of never being able to measure up to what I perceived God wanted that would make me safe from going to hell. And I really think that's where it started, was that I felt, I was not good enough as is, and that I had to pretend to be somebody else, and I always fell short of the stick. And it was almost like I'm trying to people please God, you know? I'm trying, like, please love me, please accept me, please keep me safe. I'm not the person you want me to be, and I want to be, and I'm trying, but I'm always falling short. And I think that is a lot to put on a child. And I'm kind of confused why parents don't know that there's a possibility that your kid is going to be very high strung with anxiety. I can remember times where like I was like begging to go to confession, and I mean, like, to confess like stupid sins, but it would have me in a cold sweat that I was a bad person. And I internalized that over decades and into more of the nitty gritty, but essentially that is it. That was the biggest wound. Is I really wanted to feel safe. I really wanted God's love, and I always felt like I wasn't good enough. And I don't know why I didn't really clue into like that truly is the start of me not having any ability to love myself, accept myself. And it wasn't until this breakup that I really started to ask myself the question of why. Until this breakup that I started to explore these questions. I mean, after the breakup, I was definitely in, well, he did this wrong. Why was he like that? Why did he do that? How could somebody do that? And gradually I realized the more interesting question is, why did I stay? Why was I so attracted to that? Like, yes, we can definitely talk about trauma bonds and intermittent reinforcements and brain chemistry and stuff like that. And that definitely plays a role. But I also wanted to answer the question of what kind of stuff is floating around in me that I am not confident enough to say no to something and to hold on to my standard, that I abandoned myself to make something work. What does it feel like to embody the kind of person that can recognize warning signs and feel 100% confident that those red flags are something that you have to say no to? Because why didn't I say no first red flag? Why didn't I say no the 10th red flag? There does come a point where who cares about what they do, why they do things, and that I cared about who do I have to be so that I can just say, hey, that's not meeting my standards. Namaste, awesome, walk away. I mean, I know it's a necessary part. I know rumination is a necessary part of processing, but I kind of realized in the rumination that I never want to do this again, in terms of like, I don't want to be overly consumed with the whys of somebody's behavior. I just want to be confident enough to be like, okay, that's not for me, and move on. And I think that struck me when I had a friendship kind of fall away. I saw some warning signs in the friendship in terms of the way that she was treating me was completely inappropriate, and it made me feel unsafe. It made me feel scared. It made me feel unsafe. And even though I tried to deal with it in a fair, healthy way, they weren't really open to it. And that's fine. That's like totally cool. Whatever. I know I'm being vague here. I'm trying to like, protect identities. But the thing was, I was able to walk away. I put in effort. I swallowed my pride. I tried to make it work. But I was able to leave it fairly soon after I saw very, very red flag behavior. And I was able to feel at peace with that and not judge the person, not blame them, and not go over and over in my head why they did this, why they said that, why they whatever. And that's when I realized that I'd been doing that with my ex. And really, I wanted to completely let that go so that I could be free of all of those blocks, all of that energy, because life is so much more fun when you are free of a person, when you are free of your toxic patterns, when you're free of your blocks. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too much rambling. Moving on. Okay, so we got the Catholic wound. We got me wanting to literally embody a different type of energy and heal some trauma because things keep coming up. One thing that I can take responsibility for is that I did abandon myself in the relationship. I would play small. I would shrink. I can feel it in my body now when I shrink around somebody. So I wouldn't actually share what was on my mind. I would go along with something that I fundamentally disagreed with. I would keep quiet so that things didn't turn into a conflict. I would let things go that really did bother me, and I would allow boundaries to be broken. And some of this behavior I was unconscious of, but in the end my body took over and shut down. And your body has so much wisdom, and it keeps the score, as that book says, and trace those behaviors back to when I was a little kid. And I didn't even consider getting my voice listened to or my needs. Sorry, this is being really dramatic. If my family watches this, they'll be like, oh my God, I don't think so. There were times trying to soften it and not make it so dramatic. I just thought that I had to be different to get God's approval. Bottom line. And I mean, if you throw in a lot of other things with it, if you throw in the patriarchy and, other family dynamics, I just didn't know how to feel safe. I didn't know how to co-regulate. I didn't know how to show up in a way. I was either too quiet, or I was too loud, I was too emotional, or I was too withdrawn. Like, it was all over the place. And I see myself now more clearly of that's like how I show up in relationships. I keep quiet, I go along to get along, and then it builds up, and I get hurt, and I try to deal with it maturely, but if that doesn't work, then I do protest behaviors, and I just like too much emotion, and or not enough clarity, or but all of it too is because I'm staying in something that is not aligned with me. It is not compatible with me, but it's so familiar. The inconsistency, the lack of approval, the not being heard, it's all so familiar because I grew up feeling like that every single day with the demands that I was taught God wanted from me. Like, my baseline has really been, I'm not good enough. I'm not wanted. My voice doesn't get to be, nobody cares about my feelings. To the point where it's like, I have to hide them from you. Like, I have to hide who I am authentically from you because you will leave me. And I picked an emotionally unavailable man and then proceeded to try to suppress my emotions, but then they would come out in more intense ways because I didn't have any confidence in them. I didn't have any grounding in my standards and in my worth. So it was just this like desperation to be heard and to be seen and to be made safe. And really what I was doing was I was outsourcing that to somebody else. I had never found it in me because I really have always been on this, I've really always lived my life trying to be good, trying to get good grades at school, getting into university, into graduate school, getting a job. I had to fulfill these roles. I was the type of person at work, I wouldn't say no to anything. I would be taken advantage of. And I kind of was always like, why does that happen? And it took this relationship to really see that I was showing up not presenting my true self, because to present that is to be rejected. I always thought my emotions were inappropriate. I always thought my standards didn't make sense. So I just always thought that I had to be submissive, essentially. And then I would pick people, like this last person. I mean, he was like the most extreme example. That's why I think it like shook me awake. But people who didn't care, didn't accept me for who I was, didn't listen to me, didn't value me. And I've just really, like, it's just funny that you can learn these things. I feel like I'm learning this late, but I saw a video yesterday. This guy was like in his 60s, and he was talking about how he just discovered that he didn't love himself, and that he was doing the same thing, this like outsourcing of, oh good, I've met another person that has interest. Let me like kind of like energetically, desperately cling on to them because this is finally my chance to feel love. Which is bonkers because love is absolutely everywhere. And when you cultivate it inside, it's everywhere. And I don't mean to sound cheesy because I really do not like a lot of self-help stuff around like, if you just love yourself, you'll find love. Like, I don't believe in that. I do believe kind of what Matthew Hussey says of like, you have this one person, you, to take care of, and you have to stick to your standards, and you have to, sorry, he doesn't talk like that. That's so weird. But I do think it's important to have some sort of self-generating source of love. For me, it was very tricky because normally people would advise that you connect to God, the source of love, but because I felt like God doesn't like me and thinks I'm a loser, that and there's like the fire and brimstone potentials, that was a very wounded connection for me. But I do believe in, Like, for me, it's just easier because, like, yes, I do believe in God. I don't believe in the God that I grew up with. But it's also hard when I'm doing this work to connect to something that doesn't feel quite safe either. So I do sort of connect to a frequency of love. And it's a work in progress. And it might be like decades, right? Like, there's nothing in this work that is easy and streamlined and follows a straight path. It's very, very difficult work. What I found very helpful was the teachings of Kyle Cease. He's really talking about, like, everything is in the present, like you're connecting to the present. And I'm not explaining that articulately, but it's really, really helped me. I just sort of like know when I'm slowing down and I'm going into my body and I'm believing that there's this beautiful network where love is absolutely everywhere and there's all this beautiful energy in the present moment. Dr. Joe Dispenza kind of calls it the quantum field. So his meditations are really helpful too, where you're connecting to the quantum field of like all possibilities. And there are times I get there. And that's the thing, is that I know what it feels like to be connected to that love. And my realizations upon being connected to that are like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for, you know? Like, I mean, we set out to be like, well, let's find a boy. But really it was, I want to feel safe. I want to feel loved. I want to feel good enough. I want to feel wanted. I want to feel valuable. And when I connect to that present moment, that love, God, whatever works for you, I can see so absolutely clearly how I've picked the wrong people, how I've shown up in the wrong ways, how I've asked too much of them, and that is not fair to them. I have asked them to be the source of love for me, and that is way too much. And I've asked it of people that are not even really that emotionally available. And then I felt like a loser when it doesn't work out. I mean, again, it's a work in progress because I do have like 80% of the day. I'd say 30% of the day is like stuck in old wounds and old patterns. 50% of the day is like fairly neutral. Maybe 5% of the day I'm like, oh, like, namaste, I get it. And that grows, you know, like I feel more connected and less woundy, and new wounds come up. It's really cool. Again, like, I can't even recommend enough Kyle Cease's work, because this is really the first time in my life that I'm sitting in my pain. I'm allowing the pain to come up. I'm not judging the feelings. I mean, for the most part, I'm not judging the feelings. I'm feeling it. I'm listening to it. And surprise, surprise, it is always a freaking little girl saying, keep me safe. Love me. Just tell me I'm good enough. Please listen to me. Okay, yeah, it gets more emotional than I thought. Please keep me safe. Please keep me safe. Please keep me safe. That's the overwhelming thing. Take me away and make me safe. So, again, really what obviously I'd love a partnership with a man. I'd love somebody to share my life with and make stupid jokes with. But really what I was seeking was to repair this relationship with my inner child, to make her feel loved, to make her feel safe, to make her feel wanted, to make her feel valued, to make her feel enough. That's what was important. And that's the work I'm doing. And that's where I'm at right now. Because otherwise, I would be screaming into the endless void. I would be falling into the endless void. I mean, hell is a great metaphor because it's eternal. It's eternal. There's like no turning back. And the idea that I wasn't in control of where my consciousness goes based on missing mass once, or a number of sins that I was probably doing but maybe not doing, and maybe God would be like, dude, you're totally fine, you're in your head about it. But I just kind of have the personality that latched on to all of that, and it was very destructive. It was very destructive for me to sit in my feelings more, do a lot of yoga because that's real body work, that's real letting go of trauma work. And as I sit in my feelings and as I connect to my body, so much comes up. You know, that all those times that I got like 89%, and the question, why didn't you get 90+%? Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not good enough. It was just never good enough. Oh, you don't study as much as I did when I was your age. Okay, well, I'm studying like literally calculus and chemistry 4 hours a night. Well, yeah, I don't see you studying that much. I studied a lot more. Like, it's just like so many voices came up. So many patterns came up. And it's cool because they're ready to come up. And I'm so beyond grateful for that breakup because it's allowed so much to be cleared from my body. And again, I think that when things are clear, life is a lot more fun. You're more connected to your intuition. You're enjoying the moment. And you're not chasing validation. I'm going to wrap this up with that. I'm trying to think. I think it was Aaron Doughty who was talking about how of like there's like a lower pursuit of like validation and approval and those dopamine hits. And then there's like this higher pursuit of love and connection. I think a lot of people say it, to be honest. I also did a course by Catherine Woodward Thomas called Calling in the One, and I learned a ton from that as well. Like, this has been a very transformative year. But hearing that distinction, it's funny because it's like I'd come to the realization that I didn't know how to love because I really did grow up. You know, I grew up learning morality. I grew up learning be a good person, like be charitable to that person, be kind, be whatever. I mean, it was honestly, I look back and it's like super people pleasy and like not good at all. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Again, I have a very complicated relationship with Catholicism because I do think that it built a lot of character, and I do think I learned a lot of things that I still believe in to this day. But I also think that it taught me to be more of a doormat. You know, if you know, you know. But anyways, all that to say is I realized, I'd say a month ago, it didn't teach me how to love. And again, I'm not coming for religion because maybe you grew up Catholic and you are like super awesome at loving, and I just like missed the Jesus meet and greet where that was taught. But I didn't learn how to love. I learned how to like follow rules. I learned how to never feel good enough because I was trying to achieve a certain standard, but I didn't truly, and I learned how to be kind, honestly. Like, I will credit growing up Catholic. I feel the laughs around the world because yeah, I am, okay, I'm a little bit mean. I can be mean, but you know what I mean. When push comes to shove, I am a kind person. I didn't learn love. And I'm learning that now. I learned how to not feel good enough and to seek validation and approval. Oh, it's so desperate. You're just like putting it in the hands of somebody else, you know, like, please approve of me. But love is a higher calling. It's a higher calling. And as I connect to a source of love and I can just feel it, like clearing out the junk, and I have more space for love, And I'm more interested in, how do I give love? How do I show up with love? How do I sparkle it out? How do I make people feel incredible? Okay, stop laughing, everyone, I swear. Whereas in the past, it was more like, let me show up and impress you so that you can give me approval. And I'm no longer interested in that energy. No longer interested in that. So it has been quite a journey. I have like 5 more pages, and I didn't think this was going to take that long, but I'm going to leave it right there. And thank you for listening to my rambling, and lots of love, lots of peace.